With the 2023 NFL preseason coming to a close, the Kansas City Chiefs have showed us that their wide receiver core is deeper than we expected. Who has stood out and why is he perfect? I'm going to tell you why next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I am the host of the Locked On Clemson Football Podcast. And guys, happy Monday, and thank y'all for tapping in and making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. As we always tell you, Monday through Friday. Thank y'all for being the family, but also thank you for being our everydayers. Guys, we have a fun show. It's just me. I like to bring my quick takeaways of the week to start this, about 2 weeks ago, and I want to keep that going. But the Kansas City Chiefs have a wide receiver that's been perfect over the last 2 weeks of the preseason, Ihmir Smith-Marsette. We're going to get into his game and what he has shown, in the last 2 weeks. DeMarcco Hellams, is he vying? Is he fighting for? Has he made a case to garner and receive a good amount of snaps, right? Starting level snaps in the regular season for the Atlanta Falcons, and running back for the Tennessee Titans, Julius Chestnut. What is his value? But before we get into any and all of that, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Today's episode of Locked On NFL Draft is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the promo code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Guys, Ihmir Smith-Marsette. And anybody that follows me on Twitter knows that when he came out in the draft and everything, what was that, like 2021, 2 years ago, 2 drafts ago, I was a fan of his game. Now, he played at Iowa, so the quarterback play wasn't great. The offense was not great, but you saw the punt and kick return ability. You saw the speed. This young man has been perfect in the last 2 weeks to close out the preseason. You're like, DP, if you haven't paid attention, like, DP, what do you mean? I'm gonna tell you what I mean. Last week against the Arizona Cardinals, and then this week against the Cleveland Browns, this young man, 4 targets, 4 receptions in both games. In the last 2 games, he's been 100%. All right, 4-4. So he's basically 8 of 8 for 193 yards, averaging over 23 yards per catch in both games, and he has 2 touchdowns. Guys, this young man, he's explosive. He's got dynamic ability. He can run routes. He's a little wiry in the frame, okay? And I get that. So he may not be your ideal guy on the outside. But having him on the roster, right? And I love his attitude. They asked him in the press conference about, after one of the games about, who are you? Who do you think you are as a wide receiver? And he said, I'm one of the baddest bleepers in the league right now. You know what I mean? So that's just the way I look at it. And you love that swag, that confidence. Now, with roster cuts and everything coming down, I think they have to be done by Tuesday. I would love to see him stay on the roster, because all this shows and tells me is that the Kansas City Chiefs have so many weapons, right? And this young man didn't play with Patrick Mahomes for a full game or anything like that, right? He's out there catching passes from Blaine Gabbert. But at the end of the day, when I look at what he brings, and we talk about Rashee, I've talked to you guys about Rashee Rice and Justin Ross, who continue to compound and stack days and wins, right? And showcasing that what you've seen, all the training camp clips, we can turn into game clips, okay? I can go viral on Twitter from not just one-handing my teammate, but I'll one-hand in Moss, an opposing defender on another team, a real opponent, okay? So when you're talking about Justin Ross and Rashee Rice, but seeing Ihmir Smith-Marsette, I was hoping that he could carve out a role and be another weapon for Kirk Cousins alongside Justin Jefferson and stuff in Minnesota. But It didn't happen that way, and that's fine. Sometimes the change of scenery is big, but having a guy with that type of speed, get him in open field, right, runways, get him away from press coverage, things of that nature. I just think from an aspect of, hey, with Andy Reid calling plays, if Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, okay, like that's what you want to have. You want to have a diversified set of weapons where, okay, if you really want to double team and triple team Travis Kelce, that's fine. Yes, we don't have a Tyreek Hill, and we never will again. That's just the nature of this situation. That's the nature of the beast. Tyreek Hill is one of the best receivers. He's one of the more elite guys in the league. You can't replicate what he has done. He put the work in, right? And he has the physical tools and athletic traits that you really can't teach. So you can't really replicate what he brought. But again, you may not have Tyreek Hill, but with Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Justin Ross, Rashee Rice, if this young man can make the team, now that would mean they carry what? 6 receivers, right? Justin Ross, Rashee Rice, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Ihmir Smith-Marsette. That's about 5 or 6, right? So you if he makes the team, which I think I would love to see it, because I just look at it from the aspect of being creative. You could use him as a motion guy, jet guy, get him manufactured touches with his ability to create after the catch, right? Get him in a quick game, quick screens, things of that nature, man. And we saw, like, in the Super Bowl, right, that return orbit action, right? That I think is the zipper, the zipper motion or whatever you call it. But we saw them run it twice for touchdowns, right? Kadarius Toney coming in motion and return back out to the flats. Boom, easy money. Sky Moore comes out in the orbit motion, returns back. And it's just being able to do things pre-snap to really, truly stress the life out of defenders. So I got to give a shout out to Ihmir Smith-Marsette, man. He's been perfect in back-to-back weeks, 8 for 8. 193 receiving yards, averaging over 23 yards per catch, and he's got a touchdown in each of the last 2 games, man. 2 weeks back-to-back with touchdowns, man, and he's played both out on the outside and in the slot. So at the end of the day, like I came away impressed with him. I liked his game coming out. I didn't think he was going to be a number 1, but you're talking about a complimentary piece, without question, right? Without question. So having a guy that can stretch the field vertically, whether outside or in the slot, that can also free up. You think about the deep overs and benders that they run with Travis Kelce, and just a lot of times the freedom he has to freelance, and everything like that. So you just gotta you appreciate having someone that can take the top off, but also you know what I always say. I said it. Me and Keith have said multiple times. My slogan: I want my wide receiver room to be formed and constructed like a basketball team. And how can I do that? I cannot have a bunch of power forwards. I cannot have a bunch of centers. I need a point guard. I need a shooting guard. I need a small forward, a power forward, a center. I need a backup point guard. I need all of that, right? So I need to be able to do the things that I want to do offensively, with my quarterback and with the route combinations, everything else. Guys got to be able to complement one another. But at the end of the day, like I said, he's been perfect. Shout out to Ihmir Smith-Marsette. That wide receiver room in Kansas City, it's deep, guys. They got some ballers over there. They got some athletes over there. I'm just saying Mahomes might be a problem for a lot longer than people hope for. I'm just going to be honest about it. I think we all know that. We all know that Mahomes is here. He's a new Tom Brady. He's here for another 15, 16, 17 years, man. I'm probably going to run off 4 or 5 more championships. So we'll see how it all goes. But you want to talk about versatility, making the roster, getting your time. DeMarcco Hellams, safety for the Atlanta Falcons, deserves to be their 3rd safety and deserves to be on the field quite a bit, in my opinion, heading into the 2023 regular season. So I'm going to talk about DeMarcco Hellams, safety from the Atlanta Falcons, coming up next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. August is here, family, and you already know what that means. It's the official start of fantasy football drafting month. Get championship ready for your home league by trying out Best Ball on Underdog Fantasy. All you have to do is one live snake draft, no waivers, no trades. Underdog sets your lineup. He sets the best lineup every single week. So if you're like me and you want to set it and forget it, you got to try it with Underdog's Best Ball Mania tournament. The largest fantasy football contest of all time is back and even bigger, better than ever, with $15 million of total prizes up for grabs, including an outrageous $3 million going to the winner. Last year, the winner drafted their team in July. And you know what I'm saying? They drafted the team in July. So why are you sitting here talking to me? Go visit underdogfantasy.com or find them in the App Store and sign up with the promo code Locked On to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Locked On. The Atlanta Falcons rookie safety out of Alabama, DeMarcco Hellams, in my honest opinion, has earned not a starting gig. He's earned to be on the roster, the 53-man roster, but he's also earned to receive snaps as the safety 3 and going into those big nickel and dime situations. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Their top 2 safeties right now are Richie Grant and Jesse Bates. But what I've seen from DeMarcco Hellams is the same thing I saw at Alabama. For one, at 6'1", 210 plus pounds, he's got the NFL size and frame. Right, and you look at how he's been used in the preseason. You know, week 1 he had 6 tackles. Week 2 he had 4. Week 3 he had 4 as well. But it's more so, especially in those first 2 weeks, what he was able to do in coverage. An interception week 1, an interception and a pass breakup in week 2. He didn't have either in week 3, but it's all good. It's all good, right? But just watching and looking at the box, the alignment snap counts. Okay, he's been in the box in each game, right? Kind of in the lower digits, but you see him in the nickel and the slot a little bit lower. Low, that's the least amount, but you see him moving around a little bit. But mostly, he's been at the free safety spot, and you see the instincts, you see the football IQ, the patience. He had an interception, I believe. I think it was against the Bengals, down on the offensive left sideline, defensive right sideline, and where he's he works down almost like a robber, and he plays the route in front of him perfectly well, right? Very well. But he's patient. He's not jumping too early or anything like that to deter the quarterback from making the throw. He actually plays it from a little bit from depth, kind of baits him a little bit, and then he breaks on it and makes the play that's there, getting 2 feet in and making an outstanding play in coverage. But just to be able to play on the roof, playing in 2 high split safety looks. But you think about it, man, a big part of you see a lot of this in the NFL now. Teams where they have these versatile safeties that somebody can play nickel. Right? Like you have a free safety or a strong safety. So you think about a Richie Grant or Jesse Bates being able to come down in the nickel or against tight ends and play man-to-man. Now you got 3 safeties on the field. You remove a linebacker. And that's the thing. Especially, don't get me wrong, they have athletic linebackers in Atlanta. They do. They're kind of young, but they have athletic linebackers. But if it's a situation where your linebacker's not getting it done, you can go to a big nickel, big dime set and bring a DeMarcco Hellams in to where he can play in the box if you want him to. Right, you can play him as a robber. You want to run some cover 1, run cover 1 robber, run cover 3, where he's kind of you show too high and then he rotates down. You show too high, he rotates back. Whatever, but it gives you as many possibilities and alterations and adjustments in your bag as a defensive coordinator. And I think this young man, he just played good football, man. He's pretty sound as a tackler. Could be +1 in the run game. Like I said, those football instincts and coverage. Right? Just being patient, working downhill, not triggering too quickly, not just, trying to come down as a bat out of hell, just blazing downhill and allowing almost a scramble drill, right? Where the receiver runs his route, but hey, you jumping down, the quarterback tells you break, and now he breaks past you while you're working downhill. So you see just his ability to Allow things, we like one of the phrases is kind of cliches, but let the game come to you. Allow plays to take place. Allow plays to unfold, and you just be a part of the action, right? Don't always have to be super aggressive. Just allow the action to unfold, and then you interject yourself and make a play. And he's done that, man. So, just a guy that I like I said, I liked him at Bama. He ran around 4.6, 4.57, somewhere in that at the combine. But some people like they got a little down on him, right? Because it's like, well, he's not the fastest guy, and it's like, well, okay, cool. If he's not the fastest, what we don't do? We're not going to put him as a single high free safety and put him, tell him run sideline to sideline 24/7 and go be Ed Reed, DeMarco. Like, no, that's not what you do. That's not what you do. So I think in this situation, man, I think he's earned, if they want to go to those big nickel and big dime sets, I think he's earned the snap share. I think he's earned the reps, earned the trust of the coaches just from his playing preseason, right? I assume that he's going to be somebody, a model citizen in terms of working hard in practice, studying in the film room, putting it in the weight room. He's from Alabama. You rarely get guys come from Nick Saban's program that do not know how to put the work in. Very, very rarely you're going to experience a prospect like that. You know what I mean? Because typically, he's had a couple over the past couple of years who clearly were like that. And he got and they had to transfer. They didn't play. They had to go somewhere else, things like that. So I think DeMarcco Hellams, at the end of the day, this is a talented young man. And I'm excited to see just what happens with him as in his rookie year. But I would love to see him, get some quality snap share in this defense. And this is a defense that at the same time, especially with some injuries in the secondary, I think Jeff Okudah, you're waiting to see when he's going to be able to return, things like that. If you want to be able to be as creative and flexible, you might want to go to some 3 safety looks and probably feel good about it. In my opinion, I think that you can feel good about having him on the field and knowing that he's going to make the right play, the right decision. He's going to communicate well. All the things that you need in the defensive secondary, man. So shout out to DeMarcco Hellams for the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said, again, I'm not saying he needs to be a starter, but I do believe that he's earned and made a case, not just to make the 53-man roster, but to receive a quality snap share in his 2023 official rookie season. Now that we're getting ready for the regular season, but guys, let's talk about value, man. We talk about the value of DeMarcco Hellams. Julius Chestnut, running back from the Tennessee Titans. I don't know how many running backs they're going to keep. Seems like they got 17 of them. But the point is that I think their number 1 and number 2 spot are solidified. So what happens with Julius Chestnut and what value does he bring to other teams that are looking if he is cut or if he's kept? Maybe someone wants to trade for him. I'll tell you next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. Guys, trying to find tickets at the last minute for any event is extremely stressful. More stressful than it needs to be. All right. You're competing with other buyers for the event. You're trying to hunt down the best prices and at the last freaking minute. It is not easy. It also shouldn't be as hard as it is either. So let me help you out. Check out GameTime. It's the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With their killer last minute deals on tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the event and all the fun that you're going to have. If you're in the Charlotte area this Saturday, you can spend $89 to go see the North Carolina Tar Heels play the South Carolina Gamecocks. Spencer Rattler, Drake May, only $89 on the GameTime app right now. So guys, go snag your tickets without the stress with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Tennessee Titans running back Julius Chestnut. I'm going to tell you guys real quick who he reminds me of. Remember this name, Alfred Morris from the RG3 days for the Washington Commanders. Now was the Redskins before, but man, that guy, that tandem That RPO zone read, inside zone was deadly with Alfred Morris and RG3. And when I look at Julius Chestnut, 5'11", 228, almost 230, similar type of build. Both of them had weird numbers. I think Julius wears number 36 and Alfred Ward number 46. So I'm just telling you guys, in a total different universe, things are parallel. That's all I'm telling you. But listen, the 2022 undrafted free agent, man, I like what I've seen from him this preseason. I've liked what I've seen from him. The New England Patriot game was probably his toughest matchup with, only nine carries, 30 yards, a little over 3 yards per carry. I think he had a fumble in that game as well. So he's, didn't finish the best, right? But if I remember correctly, he actually caught the ball a decent amount. Yeah, he had 2 catches, 42 yards, and a touchdown, and making himself available for young quarterback Malik Willis. And look at the first week, against Chicago Bears, seven carries, 46 yards, 6.6 yards per carry. But week 2 versus Minnesota Vikings, 13 for 98 yards, 7.5 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Showed the ability to be scheme versatile, almost dead even in terms of gap and zone schemed runs. And I just think that he has value. If you think about the fact that the NFL is very big on the running backs don't matter train, right? So if Julius is cut, or if he doesn't make this roster, there should be teams that should line up for his services, in my honest opinion. I truly believe that, and I look at the Minnesota Vikings, right? You think about that. I'm not saying that he's going to be your number 2 running back, right? But if you need depth at the position, I'll never forget listening to Doug Peterson at the Combine talk about the simple fact that you need this. You need to have a stable of backs. You need bodies in that room, man. Because at the end of the day, your starter goes down, right? Now you're pumping and bumping everybody up the depth chart. But if you don't have quality depth, it's going to hurt you. Another team that I think should absolutely be in for his services are the Carolina Panthers. Yes, Miles Sanders is there. I like Raheem Blackshear as a potential RB2, kind of change of pace type of running back. I'm not a big fan of Chuba Hubbard, okay? Spencer Brown, I just think Julius could be a good between the tackles runner, things like that. He's tough. He brings physicality. You're talking about yards after contact. He's averaged almost 4 yards after contact so far this preseason. So, and that number is mostly down because of the New England Patriot game. Because before that, he was averaging well over 4 yards for sure. Like the first week over 6, second week over 3 and almost 3.5. Yards after contact. So all I'm saying is this, guys, is that there should be teams that there are teams that should be ready for his services, like just in case he is cut. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles, we've seen the Eagles do it. We've seen the Patriots do it. They just traded a running back, Pierre Strong, man. Like you need it to the Cleveland Browns. You need bodies in your running back room. Simple. Arizona Cardinals. Why not? Okay, why not? You should lean on the run game a lot this year without Kyler Murray. So why not? Help me understand why you shouldn't be in on the value and on the services of Julius Chestnut. Like I said, 5'11", 228, almost 230, short, squatty frame. But this young man can play football, guys. He can ball. He's tough. And I really like what I've seen from him. So he can catch the ball at the backfield. He can run the ball. Scheme versatile. What more do you want? And I think he's pretty solid in pass pro too. So what more do you want? You could tell he's a hard worker. Listen to him and put in interviews and everything else. He puts the work in. He just wants to get better, and he's hungry. This is an undrafted free agent. He is hungry. So at the end of the day, his value might not be RB1, might not be fantasy running back 1. It might not be on any of those things. But in terms of helping a team, I think that he can do that, guys. I really believe that he can be a benefit to an NFL roster. But guys, those are my 3 takeaways from preseason week 3, the final week of preseason. But me and Keith are going to come back to you tomorrow. Okay, Keith will be back on the show on Tuesday's show. We are going to discuss, hear me now, we're going to discuss what we've learned from the preseason and what was our biggest surprises and our biggest disappointments. We're going to get into all of that on tomorrow's show. But thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day, Monday through Friday. Thank you for being the family and our everydayers. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it's available on YouTube. Hit the bell notification so you're notified anytime that we have and we drop content on this channel. In terms of Twitter, you can find and follow me, DP_NFL. Talk to me because I do talk back. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.